it is time. So hello, hello, hello. My name is Natasha Nurse. I am the host of Sisters on Fire IRL series. A little bit more about myself. I'm also the owner and co-founder of Dressing Room 8. I'm the lifestyle editor for Plus Model Magazine, the co-host of a podcast called Woke and Free. I do a lot of different things. Ultimately, as an entrepreneur, my goal is to empower women to live the lives that they want, and I do this through coaching them one-on-one. I'm also a business consultant where I work with various women business organizations or girl-oriented organizations, and it's all about, again, empowering women to live their lives and live their truest, authentic selves. So it's a privilege to do what I do. It's an honor. And, how I got started with Sisters on Fire is simple. It was started by two incredible women, Marsha McNair, my mother-in-law, and also Anissa Moore. They're both professors at Nassau Community College. Woo! Nassau. And, together they really had a phenomenal idea. They wanted to write a play that was about the Black woman experience in America, which is, it's a lot, right? There's a lot that Black women go through in this country. And I don't think there's any play that really speaks to it in the way that Marsha and Anissa have formulated it. What they did is that they put it in 4 different characters, right? 4 different narratives that speak to 4 different types of experiences for Black women in this country. And it takes you through a journey, and it's abstract, it's grounding, it's touching. There's commentary and stories about what's been going out here in Long Island. If anyone isn't aware, Long Island's one of the most segregated places in this country. Similar on status as to how it used to be in apartheid in South Africa. It's really not that far from that. So segregation out here in Long Island is very deep and interesting, and that's talked about in the play. We talk about Black beauty. I have a poem that I wrote when I was 19 that was published, and Marsha and Anissa were gracious enough to include it in the play, and so I'm actually going to do a separate live stream about that, and I'm going to talk about my poem. I'll read it to everyone and kind of go through what I was thinking when it came to that. We talk about what a mother experiences when she loses her son to gun violence, by the police in this country, which is something, sadly, that we see more too often than we would like. We talk about sisterhood relationships in the play, where, kind of how are Black women treating each other? How are we connecting, not connecting with each other? How are we attacking? How are we degrading ourselves and each other? So that sisterhood conversation is super, super important. That's addressed in the play. Also, just like what's going on with missing girls, right? Every day we hear a lot of news reportings, but I don't necessarily know if I hear every day about a Black or brown girl that goes missing. And unfortunately, we are kind of the prime, we being brown and Black girls go missing every single day. But it's weird that it's not being talked about in the news. But is it really weird? Right? So that's talked about in the play. What else? Oh gosh, Trump and politics is talked about in the play. It's quite a phenomenal play. Marsha McNair, the creator, with Anissa Moore, they're both the playwrights of this play. It's quite an amazing feat that they did. And Marsha also, if anyone follows kind of the content that I put out, she's also the executive director and founder of Long Island Girl Talk, which is a nonprofit here out in Long Island where we teach young girls how to create their own television show. And I'm the program coordinator. So I'm fortunate enough to work with Marsha when it comes to Sisters on Fire and working on social media, working on social content that we put out, as well as working with her and the girls for Long Island Girl Talk. And what brings us together in this moment is to talk a little bit about how Sisters on Fire IRL series started. So what is that? What is Sisters on Fire IRL? So Sisters on Fire IRL in real life, right, is a concept that I came up with because I wanted to to keep the fire going, right? Sisters on Fire is a play. And so we put on these plays, right, as much as we can, as well, so that we can, you know, get feedback and get it out in the public, because whenever we do it, we have sold out performances, and we're constantly asked, when's the next play? When's the next performance, right? But in between that, there's also what? Every single day, we have women of color, we have women change agents who are doing badass things. And I felt like when it comes to media, I don't necessarily know if I see that celebration on a local and regional level, right? Yes, we have our Michelle Obamas, and we have Queen Latifah, and we have Oprah and Shonda Rhimes and Robin, you know, a lot of different people, right? Women of color, women change agents who are doing incredible work, who are changing the face of this planet, right? But at some point, before they became the super duper, like, well-known people all over the world, there are also what? There are other people who are doing incredible work who maybe aren't as highlighted, maybe they aren't as seen, or maybe they are, but they're just growing their platform, right? So for the Sisters on Fire IRL series, and I'm sorry, I have an itch here. Okay, there you go. This would be better. You know, for that series, I wanted to speak with women in different industries, right? Because I think that impacting change isn't just in media. It's not just in technology. It's not just in education. It's in a myriad of different niche areas across various industries. So I've spoken with women who are journalists. I've spoken with comedians. I've spoken with writers. I've spoken with coaches, motivational speakers. You know, the playwright Marcia McNair has done it, and she, former editor at Essence, professor, playwright, author, right? Like, people who also have multiple lives, which is also something that I wanted to, if I'm going to create content, I wanted to focus on doing that, because I think also, in addition to highlighting the great work that these women are doing, it's important to show people that people have multiple lives within their lives, that they have multiple hats that they wear, that you don't just have to be a dentist, a doctor, a mother, that we aren't just one thing in life, right? We are many things, right? So that's also kind of the reasoning behind having these stories and having these interviews. And so if you're like, okay, Natasha, well, where do I go to watch all of them? If you aren't necessarily familiar with the series, it's really easy. You go to sistersonfire.com. So that's super, super easy. And what I will do is, at the end of the live stream, I will definitely include the website, sistersonfire.com, but also where you can go and check out the Sisters on Fire IRL series and get caught up if you aren't fully aware of the series. And personally, I've benefited so much from starting this with Marcia and Anissa, because it gives me the opportunity to connect with women from all over the country, from women with all different backgrounds. And it's been truly remarkable, truly, truly inspiring to understand women and the challenges that they faced in their lives, what they have considered, you know, the successes in their lives, what are the tools and resources that help them move forward in life. And also speaking to women of different age groups, right? Because again, in our society, in addition to so many different forms of discrimination, I think ageism, right, is something that maybe isn't talked about enough. And I, whenever it comes to creating content, I love to create content that's intergenerational, right? So speaking to women who might be in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, right? And so having women of different perspectives, they're in different points in their lives. It is just, it's been amazing. So if you have any questions, please feel free to write this in. You know, this is kind of a session that I wanted it to be conversational, and I want, you know, if you want to be a part of the series, where do you go? sistersonfire.com. If you want to learn more about what any of the women that that have been featured in the Sisters on Fire IRL series, you would go to sistersonfire.com, and you would just go to the Sisters on Fire IRL page, and you can listen to all of the interviews, and you can also ask questions as to, you know, how do you get in contact with them? I include their information in each interview, but also you can feel free to like add in the comments on YouTube or whatnot. But just generally, I would say some of the takeaways that you should think about when you're participating and listening to the series is, one, the incredibleness that women offer in this world. You know, I think that with things like the Me Too movement, with Time's Up, I think that women are finally able to have a voice and have it be heard, and have it be heard loudly, and hold people accountable for those who try to suppress our voice, for those who try to hide what we had to say. And so now we're in this time of just like, women hear us roar, right? And a part of that narrative and that feminism is also the woman of color's voice, right? The woman who, the brown and black women as well, who again, maybe they haven't been heard as much as they could be. And like, now is the time for all women of all different backgrounds, women of all different ages, women of all different, socioeconomic statuses to come out and have their voice be heard, to share their story. And Sisters on Fire IRL is kind of a part of that movement. And it's been great to be a part of that. Second takeaway from the series, I would say, is to look at when you're listening and you're hearing the different women and their different careers and their different wisdom and gems that they're dropping, to think about how you can use what they're saying and put it in application in your life. Because I think that what I love about, as a content creator, putting out inspirational, motivational information, it's wonderful, right? Like, if it makes you feel good for that moment, for that 10 minutes, those 30 minutes you're listening to, that's great. That's the whole point. But we also, you know, at least for myself, I can say, I want people to put into application some of the wisdom that they're talking about. I remember one of the women I was speaking with in the series, you know, she was talking about kind of a couple actually, were talking about mindfulness, right? Having mindful moments, having moments where you have clarity for yourself. So how does that apply to you, right? How can you have clarity in your life? How can you have mindful moments in your life? So I think that, you know, what can you take away is from their wisdom is something that you should be thinking about, because you really want to make sure that you're not just like rah, rah, rah for that moment, but you're taking that rah, rah, rah and you're putting it into your life and you're bettering your life, right? So Sisters on Fire IRL is rah, 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 like feel good, be badass, but it's also learn and make my life better, right? And so take that knowledge and put it into power by executing the knowledge in some way or form. So that's another takeaway. Another one I would say is understand the similarities of us all, right? So whether you're a brown person, a black person, a person who is, maybe you haven't thought of yourself as a feminist, maybe you haven't thought of yourself as an activist, right? Understanding these women's stories is a good way for you to understand your own story more, because, you know, the conversation of feminism in the public has been very interesting. I see a lot of women who are very uncomfortable, right, with the term feminist and being called a feminist. But, you know, my perspective is a feminist is someone who wants equality for both genders, right? So if you disagree with that for yourself, I would beg you to question why you disagree with equality. But, you know, to dive deeper, and a part of diving deeper and understanding feminism is by participating in series like this, like the Sisters on Fire IRL series, because, you know, whether all of the women in the series call themselves feminists, I think that the content itself is feministic in nature. The content itself is driving that rah-rah, women, we rock, we rule, we dominate, and we dominate in so many different industries, so many different spaces in our lives. And so I think that the rah-rah that you're getting is motivational, but also feministic in nature. And so understanding feminism is another takeaway, right? Which is, I think, really important, because the feminist conversation is something that has to keep going. I think for people who struggle with comfortability of it is because maybe they don't understand it, right? Maybe they're only viewing feminism in a certain viewpoint or in a certain light. And I think that, like I say, if you were to ask me, feminism equals, like if we're making a really short equation, feminism equals equality. So if you have a problem with feminism, you have a problem with equality, which, again, you need to speak with yourself and you need to figure that out for yourself. But I know that for the content that I'm driving, that's with Sisters on Fire IRL, we're encouraging women, through the women that we're featuring, to think about their lives in a way that gives them that rah-rah and hopefully that feminism, rah, 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 right? So that's another takeaway. And then lastly, I guess I would say is, we all deal with challenges and obstacles in our life. And sometimes it can be very isolating and it can feel like no one has a similar narrative to you. And that's simply not true. We are all human beings. We all bleed the same, despite what you can see in media. We are more alike than we are different, right? The color of our skin, the length of our hair, the width of our hips do not change our human disposition. We are human beings. And whether you're a woman or a man, right? We are human beings. And there's so much that we share in common as opposed to what makes us different. And I think that hearing the women in this series and hearing the similarities of how they viewed their womanhood, how they viewed their Black narrative, how they viewed their career, how they viewed dealing with spirituality, dealing with career challenges, dealing with community challenges, has been very interesting, because I think for myself, when it came to my own Black identity, I struggled because I did not grow up in a diverse neighborhood. I did not grow up with seeing diverse images of Black womanhood. And as written in my play and in my poem, Black Beauty, which is in the play Sisters on Fire, I had to come to terms with that. And I'm grateful that I had people like Marsha McNair, that I had people like my husband and co-host of Woke and Free to help me on my, my Black narrative journey to figure out, in my authentic skin, I can feel beautiful. I can see and look out and see that women with wide hips and curly hair and things that typically represent me and what I view as my signatures, those are beautiful things, right? And that also beauty isn't just it's not just skin deep, but it's from what you think. It's your character, it's your soul, right? And I think that that's easily said as opposed to feeling it. But when you have content where you're showcasing people and the brilliance that they have and their wisdom, that's what's a part of making Black beauty truly, or beauty generally, truly apparent. And that I think is a really great takeaway. Just like how beautiful women are, how beautiful people can be based on what they think and what they're doing and what matters to them. So that's a lot. That's a lot, right? But I wanted to just have a moment where we could talk about it, right? And like I said, if you have questions, if you have concerns, definitely go to Sisters on Fire IRL, the Sisters on Fire IRL page on sistersonfire.com. So sistersonfire.com, that's the website. You'll see the IRL series page. You'll also see the page where you can learn more about the characters, the 4 different narratives, right, that make up the play. You can learn more about the playwright and also with a former director that we had. You can just learn all about this movement. And for myself, again, like I said, it's a privilege, it's an honor. I love it. I just love being a part of it. And I couldn't ask for a better creative project to be a part of, because like I said, personally, I benefit from it in the sense that it empowers and it gives me that rah, rah, rah feeling that I was talking about earlier. But it also gives me that comfortability in knowing that, like, hey, right, if I'm having a hard day with something in my career, if I'm having a hard day in my Black womanhood, right, that I'm not alone, that I'm sharing that with other people, and that these are the wisdom that they're sharing for the series is the wisdom that I try to apply and put into my life as well. So if you want to learn more, where do you go? sistersonfire.com. If you want to connect with me directly, dressingroom8.com. That's where you'll find everything about the content that I'm putting out. And that if you want to reach out to me, and I don't know if you hear my dog barking, if you do, I apologize. Joys of puppies and kitties. But you could email me at natasha@dressingroom8.com. And with that, I think we covered everything. I don't know if there's anything else that people wanted to know, but ultimately the series is freshly started, right? We have, I think, about 37 interviews so far. But again, if you're watching this on the live or on replay, the amount of interviews will continue to go on. And one new thing I will add, just so people know, is that we're going to be moving the interviews to live streaming, which is really, really great, because why? It means that if you're a fan or a follower of any of the women that we're speaking to, that you now can join the conversation. So I'm really excited about that piece of it, because now it's going to be even more interactive than before. So I hope you're ready to not only be a fan of the Sisters on Fire IRL series, but also to be an active participant in it, right? Ask critical questions. If you're intrigued by what someone is saying, put your thoughts out there. You will never know what other people think unless you put your opinion out there. So with that, again, thank you for tuning in tonight. This has been really fun. And I can't wait for you to continue to follow along in the series. Again, I'll put in the comments the different information, the website, as well as the page where you can access all the interviews. And I can put in my email address and my website as well, so that you have my contact information. And thank you for tonight. And for all of you who have been tuning in, thank you for your support. It's greatly appreciated. I can tell you, as a content creator, it's hard, right? We spend a lot of time in front of these lights, and we're sweating and we're working, and we're like, I hope everyone loves what we're doing, and you got to keep going, and you got to keep being original and being your authentic self. And so, I appreciate every like, every follow, every share, every comment, because ultimately it's you engaging with me. It's you giving me your time, and that's a privilege and that's an honor, and I greatly appreciate it. So I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching this while it was live. Thank you for watching on the replay, and I will definitely hope to see you soon, okay? Have a good night.